Howdy, hi, and hello everyone. Welcome back to Noah's Nest. If you don't know what Noah's Nest is, first of all, hi, I'm Noah. And in Noah's Nest, I can do a couple things here. My regular schedule, my regular thing. I'll either talk about a ttrpg that I have finally read and acquired, taking you through the different steps, and pretty much going page by page of what the book, or what the ttrpg is. Or I really talk about a topic that ranges from ttrpgs to stories to, yep, that's right, Ellie, to all kinds of fantasy through all kinds of media. And today, I am going to talk about a couple of different, mainly D&D stories. Throughout the past almost 10 years now, I have acquired a bunch of different stories that I've either DM'd or played as a player, and I am going to talk about some of them today. If this is well received and it is very interested into some of you, I will make more stories or jot down more stories that I have done. But let's start off. All of these are in a book that I've written down. As time goes on, I might write down more, I might not, who knows. But first one is a Halloween-themed one-shot. This Halloween-themed one-shot is not on our Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything. This was before I started the podcast. But I was doing a theme session at our local card shop, where I was the DM, and we had a fighter, warlock, a cleric, an artificer, and I think another class, but I cannot remember. They're all going trick-or-treating in this once in a 10-year town that appears and then disappears every 10 years. After so many houses, they uncovered that a cursed pumpkin patch has formed to become a pumpkin king. They were all level 8, and the king was level 14, so there were some minions, so to make it somewhat fair and not just a slog. A quick side note. I used inspiration a little bit differently than how actual D&D says. My old DM, one of my old DMs, Tyler, you know him, you love him, I love him, he made an inspiration in automatic nat 20, but he also rarely gave them out. So I used the auto nat 20, and I might have used it a little bit too often. So the fight started, and it was semi-even, but more leaning towards the player, which is kind of obvious. But my fighter, Warlock, had an inspiration from something a while ago. So the fighter rolled and got a nat 20. Got a massive amount of damage. Attacked again, missed, thank God. But quickly action surged, and then asked if a crit worked on spells. Quick side note, when they crit, I would max out the damage, and they would roll their damage, and then just add both of them together. Then use inspiration to crit a fireball. Moral of the story, don't change inspiration by any means necessary. Now, if you are doing this, if you would take my advice, I would not do this. I have never used that ever again, ever since that session. I don't really use inspiration to begin with, because that's just not my style. But if you do use inspiration, don't go off the beaten path. Inspiration is already used fairly well, and that did not go very well. Next one, I'm not proud of this story. It was my fault to begin with, but once again, I'm a fucking idiot. So, story time. Don't blindly invite people to your home for a session. So, back when I was in high school, it was probably around the end of the year. So, a lot of people were kind of doing nothing in school. Since I was doing a lot of nothing, I brought my D&D books to school and got people excited and taught them what D&D is. I was going to run a session outside at my house since it was nice out and not too hot. So I asked my 3 good friends to join, and they all said maybe, or I'll let you know, to me. And in my head, them saying that meant that they're not going to go, or they'll think about it, but then say no by that time. As the day went on, more of my friends got word that I was doing a D&D session at my house. So they would ask if it's true, and I would say yes. Then they would either ask to join, or I would ask, and the same response would happen. After a whole entire school day, I got 3 yeses and a lot of maybes. So I ran a couple errands, and when I got home, over a dozen cars were parked in my driveway. And when I got inside, there was 20 goddamn people sitting on my couch. One of them was passed out because he was tired after a whole entire school day. We had to split up the 20 people into 2 groups of 10, where I would take 10 and my other friend would take the other 10, which he has not DM'd before at this time. All in all, sessions were bad and very, very confusing. Don't blindly ask people to play a game. Make sure that they would go, or make sure that they're not going to go. Because this, I will tell you, was absolute hell. Yes, I loved seeing all my friends and trying to get them into D&D, but most of them either never played again or left with a sour taste in their mouth. And I feel extremely bad that that was how they started or had a general idea of what D&D was. You know what? I'll do this one. Okay. In the past, if you were here at the very, very beginning of our podcast, we had a old D&D campaign for a while, where I was the DM for a group of 6. First of all, I don't recommend a group that big, with most of them being people that have never played D&D before and recording it. But if you're doing it for fun and you want to just get them interested, sure, go ahead. But if you want to try and record it for a podcast, think more, please, because I guess I didn't fucking think at all. The main basis of the story was that there was 4 books hidden in the world to stop the gods from coming back into the world. That's it. But I also wanted to do stuff with people's backstories. I also wanted them to go on side quests for their backstories and have more interlockings with history and different towns and cities and everything. Pretty much adding in a bunch of stuff that almost didn't have to be. So after the first mission to travel to a different city, the players were getting pretty much confused. Still enjoyed the story, but still getting kind of confused. We kept going, they found a book, and after more traveling, and for some more reason, more confusion. After the end of the first season, and halfway through the second season, of too many quests were given, too much backstory was given, and confused, and it came to a point where we could not continue. We all ended up stopping the campaign due to confusion and scheduling issues. Now, I also blame myself for this. I did like the story, I loved it so much. Maybe in the future I'll post what we had, but I did way too much for what little time we really had. Because we were only able to play once a month for a whole day. We got lucky if we were able to do it twice a month. But we would play it for 4 hours, record it, take an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour break of like eating food and everything. But then we would go back for another 4 hours, and after the food had settled in, we were all tired, it was a slog, and it was just very, very exhausting. I enjoyed the story very much. Most, if not all the players also enjoyed the story, but, as I said in this short description, it was very confusing, because I wanted to add in their backstory into different parts of it. I also wanted to include the whole world changing from the gods coming back, and them having champions, and I just made too much for new players, and I made it too confusing. And I am extremely sorry for that. So this one, I was a player. We were allowed homebrew, classes, races, pretty much anything. And I was a mushroom man rogue. His backstory was pretty much, he was just a normal fungus. There was anything new about his life. But one day, he was awakened from 2 dead bodies, 1 or 2 dead bodies laying on him as he became, like, humanoid. The only thing in his head was revenge, and after the revenge, he could go back to rest. Pretty much go back to being a normal fungus. But, in the story, for once in a blue moon, I got to be a player in a game. My friend, let's call him L. He was starting a D&D campaign and stated to me and all the other players that this was a heavy combat and death is very easy to all players. I was given freedom for our character creation, so I made a fungal rogue that didn't have any memory except revenge. Anyway, we started the story and it was getting pretty good. The party got separated. It was me and our artificer as we went down the wrong path, and they had an orc tribe. Quick side note, we were all level 3 at the very beginning of the story. This artificer was very cocky in real life and thought he could take them all, but then died fairly quickly. After that, traveling continued. We ended up all gathering back together and going to a trial. We all had to complete 3 trials as a group to become a part of something, like a secret agency or like some secretive tribe, I would say. First 2 trials were pretty much easy. No issues, no unalives or injuries. But the last one really irritated all of us. With no hints, clues, no pushes in the right direction, we were all attacked for the first time with elemental damage. But if done again, let me read this one more time. It was all irritating to us. With no hints, clues, no pushes in the right direction. We were all attacked in any form. Anytime we attacked for the first time with an elemental damage, it did nothing. But if we done it again, it would damage us. We all ended up dying, and were told, why didn't anyone use force damage? No one had that elemental type. We stopped playing that campaign after. Now, don't get me wrong. Our friend L is he did a great story. This was around 3 sessions long of us playing this. But after the point of the 3rd session and getting to this last trial, and trying to see what kind of indication we would need, like what is this trial, how would we beat it, and not getting anything from it, even with the different roles, we kind of were set up for failure, in my opinion. We went through, there was this stone statue on a throne, and any time we moved or it saw us move, it would attack us. If we attacked it with a specific elemental type, it would then change gears or change forms or just like move. But after each time we did that and we didn't know what to do next, it would then attack us again. But yes, we all could have been dumb. Yeah, we were all dumb probably, and we just were like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. But also, we weren't given any information. But I can't leave that to only his fault. We did not understand what the fuck was going on. But we also didn't have force damage, so we would have never been able to leave. We would have ended up dying. Anyway. And then the last one that I'll do for this one. This is probably one of my most favorite, if not the most funniest, or my most greatest moment in a session. So, I was actually a player again. During a late night game, one of my friends wanted to try DMing for the first time, and we were all excited. He made pre-made characters set in a prison based on a one-shot in Alcatraz, trying to escape a ghost that was trying to haunt Alcatraz, also while we were all trying to escape it. Starting in cells as haunted stuff begins to happen, but we were all sent to dinner time. So everyone was in the cafeteria getting food, while I grabbed an extra spoon, just in case. My main reason for getting the spoon was to try and dig a hole through the wall to get to the outside. Yes, it would take longer, but it is a more safer option. But that never happened. As more ghosts, unalivings, and more, we all got chased throughout the whole building. I got chased to the roof of the prison. Side note, in this version of Alcatraz, there was a broken down gondola that has lost power years ago. As my life was about to end from this ghost, I asked, since it's storming out right now, can I use this spoon to help jumpstart the gondola from the lightning? Everyone was laughing and amazed from the idea, so we all rolled with it, and I somehow got a nat 20. As I jumped onto the gondola and threw the spoon up into the air, a bolt of lightning hit it that started the gondola, powering it up and helping me escape to the ship where everyone else was waiting. That was one of the most enjoyable moments I have ever had playing as a character. Now, there are other moments that I've had in my life that I've played as a character that were enjoyable, but being able to think outside the box and somehow execute it almost perfectly that wanted to be in my mind was extremely grateful and relieving. Being able to have a picture in my head and doing it made it so much more fun. But anyway, that's all the stories that I'm going to read today, because maybe in the future, if you all like it, like the stories that I have done in the past, I will easily do more stories. But anyway, thank you all for listening to Noah's Nest. If you like this and want to hear more, you can check out our Spotify, Apple Podcast, and anywhere else that you check out podcasts. We also have social media. That can be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so much more. You can check those out at Creatures and Cantrips or at creaturesandcantrip, where the C's are capital. We give you a general idea of what the podcast episodes will be on those social medias. You can also listen to us on YouTube, where you can comment and let us know what you think about us. This place, this thing. Extremely grateful for you all still listening and enjoying this. And the very last thing that I'll say is see you, love you, miss you. Bye, guys.